Welcome back, everyone, as we jump into the fourth and final set of the day. And something up front that you will probably notice is that the numbers back there already say 1-0. It's WorstTurttle, and the reason that is just Game 1 unable to bring it to you. So we will be jumping immediately into Game 2. It's a win for the Yomi Tanuki up front, so they have the advantage going into the next one. But the important part, again, leading into that is... it's not the worst case scenario, right? It's double elim right now up front for the Wargs and the Tanuki. So no matter how the rest of this set ends up going, it's not going to be the end of the road. And Trelly, more importantly, is that we're in Group C, right? We are in the qualifier group. We are in the portion where everything matters a little bit more. You still have that double elim. You hit your one-ups. You made yourself a little safer than you were before. But what you are facing right now and what you're going to be dealing with is the potential of getting knocked down into the bottom. And, well, if you lose here, you find yourselves against the Scarabs. That's the first elim match that you may end up finding yourself up against. We'll be starting with that one tomorrow morning, right? This is the last set of the day so far. So Scarabs versus whoever loses this will be, I believe, in the very beginning. And then we'll be finding our qualifiers, right? Hex Mambo versus a winner. And then, of course, over there on the right in match 15, the last match will give us our second team that's going to the SWC group stages in just a few weeks at the beginning of January. And again, Trelly, we've got some action-packed, top-notch rosters. The Wargs as well, one who qualified, I think, a lot quicker than people would have expected when they went up against the Scarabs. And the Tanuki, who have been giving people quite a bit of trouble themselves. We'll see if they're tricky enough to make their way past the Wargs.
Man, I've been really impressed with, all the Tanuki sets that I've got to watch. Of course, the Wargs have been looking clean, and I guess because they haven't been, playing as often because they've been on the other side of the bracket. I've been watching a lot more of the Tanuki, right? They had to fight their way back in, but Pikarino and StreakUp have been on point, and because of that, you got to look towards the entirety of that team, but it's all going to come down to pressure. That's what it's going to lean into. It's what it always leans into, especially in sets like this where the late game hasn't been coming as often. I mean, I haven't seen too many EFG fights. A lot less than I would have expected, especially in like an EU circuit, which is usually a little bit longer. So that early pressure could be the difference between a win and a loss, and it's always going to come from those junglers.
Well, this is one, I actually agree with you. I think every single matchup in this one is one that I'm excited for, and I didn't realize I was fully excited for it until just now. So we're going to jump into picks and bans for game number 2. I'm keeping my eyes on the duo lane. Davey and StreakUp, Predss and Calvin. Like, that's going to be a really fun duo matchup. Again, this is going to be picks and bans game number 2. Game 1, the Tanuki are able to find a win. We'll see how the Wargs are going to adapt right here. They're going to be first pick. And up front, honestly, we have some bans that feel like they are very specific flavor as far as things go. So Athena, Maman, that makes sense. Raijin, guess what? That makes sense, as well as the Poseidon. Camazotz and the Kuzenbo, though, Trelly, those two stand out as we're first pick, we know what you like, and we're going to control it.
Yep, but with the option between the Chernobog and the Outwash, the Wargs are just going to go towards the Outwash.
Wow.
The Tanuki said, guess what? We don't care that you gave us the Chernobog. We'd rather take that Hachi. That just goes to show. I think Hachi may be the new Heimdall. That does seem to be the case, where it's just like every ADC is just feeling much more confident on the Hachi. It's going to get you out of jail free. It's going to give you some great hyper clear, and of course, it's going to be early pressure if that's what you're looking for. So, looks like Chernobog is going to go untouched for the top 3.
And I'm impressed. I mean, well, first off, Daji as well. We had actually talked about this a little bit. Daji, really good. I believe we had been talking a lot about Thoth. Thoth as well, another pick that I would not be surprised if he finds his way in here. Depends on these next set of bans, because the Wargs didn't go for it. But Upwash Thoth feels like it could be a really strong 1-2 punch, and maybe where they end up going. But we also, I feel like, have seen Daji do well against the Kukulkan for similar reasons, right? It's just someone that you can lock down pretty well in the mid lane.
Yep, and I think someone who's locking down some of those characters and also just has a great matchup into Daji is going to be the Ravana, right? You've got the CC immunity in your overhead kick and the Mystic Rushes to deal with Daji pull. You can dive burst mages like Scylla and just sort of immune all of that burst damage. So I think very smart pick there in the bottom 2 to grab the Ravana, even though you already have the Thor. They can be interchangeable. There is a world where Ravana can play solo and Thor can play jungle and vice versa. So maybe holding on to the ambiguity of those picks as well. But considering the fact that we already know That French Emperor loves Thor. I'd probably send the Robin over to the solo lane. That's just me.
Yeah, like when you see that, and actually I think we saw it earlier for the Tanuki because they had French Emperor OgiBre, they had locked in Thor and Rat.
Yep.
And I was, it's ambiguous. Both of them have played solo, both of them played jungle.
Right.
But knowing that in that instance you still send Thor into the jungle for French Emperor, I think I agree with you, right? It just feels like it's going to be something at home for him. Also going to make that matchup pretty interesting in the solo lane. I think mid, having Scylla come in on the side of the Wargs is going to be exciting as well. It's the Fafnir. We see him normally, it feels like with a heavy-handed auto attack comp.
Right.
Not as many that stand out to me as I guess Thor is and Ravana kind of is, but really I'm thinking, okay, well if you got Hachi and you went double carry or something like that, or you had a very strict assassin that was going in exclusively to punch you down, it definitely feels like he's going to be feeling a little lonely in terms of the CC. We'll have to see how well that works out for the Tanuki or for the Wargs. Again, it's starting off with a 1-0 lead for the Tanuki. And to start things off here, throw it down to our casters.
All right, thank you, Gore. That's right. You got Judas, you got Spooky, and you got the Niflheim Wargs in a situation they didn't expect to find themselves in. Down 0-1, having gotten to this stage unbeaten so far. So really shocked to see them here. But before we get into the game, Spooky, I'm making a prediction. We've been seeing Silence getting aggressive on the support role, getting invading, and I believe Predss is going to do the same thing.
So I'm still trying to process all the information that your shirt just sent to my brain. that was a wild one, but you've called it, Judas. Predss already getting active, taking a kind of a page of Silence books there. Goes right over to apply the pressure. And on this Horus pick, you can only assume that that's where he's going to be. He likes to get aggressive in general. And a god that facilitates it as well as Horus does. No surprise here. Calvìn matching that aggression may get pinched. iDavy already going in. Calvìn in some trouble here, possibly. Not a lot of damage coming through, but is going to give the Wargs a little bit more pressure in this dual lane. Calvìn already being under half health means the Tanuki cannot be nearly as aggressive as they otherwise would. StreakUp again.
Danger there. Davey wanting to get aggressive. As we've seen so far from these EU duo lanes, they want to do anything except a normal start. It just seems to be the way of things at the moment. And I don't know how you react to this, but it seems like the teams have managed well. The Wargs, of course, come out slightly on top, but StreakUp will be okay with the situation they find themselves in. Of course, already healed up most of that health bar. Oh, look at this. A pinch coming out. But Predss is all the way over. Predss at level 1. Pikarino, French Emperor have no idea. They're about to find out. Pikarino in danger and goes down for the first blood. It was cooking up for Storm. Now the Wargs take first blood.
And you know what? At level 1, you still have an ability. And when you just walk straight up to somebody, sometimes you only need that one ability. Predss, absolute masterclass on the engagement. This is exactly what this draft is all about here. Dude, this dual lane is aggression central. They want these fights early. They want these fights frequent. Yes, they're going against StreakUp's Hachi, who is probably one of the safest matchups you could possibly run into. But with the damage output potential of this Anhur and this Horus, the shred potential that comes from both of these two gods, StreakUp could end up playing very far back for a very long time in this game. What I'm expecting is the Warriors to just keep this pressure applied in that dual lane, not let StreakUp get any farms safely or easily. We'll probably not see this Daji make too many rotations to that dual lane until level 5. At that point, you can start pulling people out of tower. Other than that, you're just looking to secure that shield buff.
And of course, another target for the Daji would be Pikarino on this Kukulkan. And we've already seen it pay off once. And, you know, Kukulkan without ACC build ultimate, very vulnerable to the Daji, but also to Predss on this Horus. Horus, if you blink in, you get that knockup, one of the easiest sets of beads you're ever going to get. So, with the beads burn potential coming up from both WorstTurttle and Predss, and again, lack of CC build ultimate, I think Pikarino needs to be shut down. And I mean, look at this Horus doing whatever he wants. Also, a blue buff invade going on the right-hand side. Might be a punish coming in here that goes for the knockup. Does not get the steal on the green. On the right-hand side, OgiBre gets the brunt of the force. So 3 members of the Niflheim Wargs. FrenchEmperor drags the blue buff as far away as they can, does manage to secure it safely. But wow, this is an action-packed start. The Wargs not happy with their first game loss, really coming out swinging.
Now, these two teams have really been... They've had a back-and-forth history. The last time they met up in the SEC, Tanukis were the ones who came out ahead. So if you're the Wargs and you're now looking at the Tanukis having a 1-0 lead on you, that's not a comfortable position. That's why you see these target bans coming out in the draft phase, because they're trying to set the Tanukis a little bit off kilter. That's why they're picking this aggressive style, because they want to just get this ball rolling. And so far, working out for them. They've got themselves a nice little lead here to the tune of about 1,000 gold very early on in this game. They can keep up this pressure. Ooh, she's got a bit of danger as well there. Predss, just unrelenting on this Horus. You can see FrenchEmperor kind of recognizing the potential of this duo lane. Comes over, secures that shield buff, makes sure that, you know, Wargs aren't getting too far ahead, not getting extra farm on the side of things here. They've got to find themselves a nice little answer. The way Predss is playing, he's drawing a lot of attention to one side of the map, and the Wargs have been doing a great job so far. We're 5 minutes in, not even, of kind of balancing that with aggression on the opposite side at the same time. WorstTurttle recognizes that if Predss is going to be making these aggressive plays, they have to set up a situation where you can't just collapse on him for free. You have to make a decision, and that means aggression, splitting across the map, trying to get themselves a bigger lead to head closer to the 5-minute mark.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of this so far when the teams get off to this sort of really strange start, of course, in dual lane, with both the supports only now taking over to level 5. It does put a lot of pressure on specifically these blue buffs on right lane. We did already see on the first round of blue buff invades going down. Looks like OgiBre did manage to steal away from Panvich. Damage coming out, but Ravana pretty good at avoiding this. However, the immunity is down. 3 shots come out from the Paolo. OgiBre in a bit of danger. Crypt's emptied. Wow! That was exactly the amount of damage that Panvich needed. A 3rd kill for the Wargs.
Crypt's empty. Crypt immediately refilled with the body of OgiBre. Excellent work from the Wargs there. I had questions in my mind when the triple chains came out from WorstTurttle while OgiBre is playing Ravana. 2 ways of getting out of those chains. Not really worried about the pull. Niflheim Wargs absolutely on the same page what they want to do. Find the damage. Panvich has secured himself a little bit of a lead in that lane. That's the 2nd fall of OgiBre now. And Panvich going into that breastplate of valor as the first item means there's very little that this Ravana is actually going to be able to do to him to force him out of the lane. Now in a situation where the Tanuki have to shift their attention. StreakUp taking a lot of damage from the Desert Fury. Horus takes him to safety.
Wow. They're just completely unrelenting. Look at this, right back onto OgiBre. Gets stunned out by the fleeting breath. Here come more corpses. There's the immunity. One more slice. WorstTurttle gets it. But here's FrenchEmperor. Gets the Berserker's Barrage, and that will be enough damage to trade one out. But it's not an even trade, because on the left-hand side, the Wargs dueling aggression nets them another kill.
Man, this is just such a good use of the draft from the Wargs. Like, this isn't a skill difference, right? Obviously, both teams are very good, but the Wargs knew exactly what game plan they wanted, and they're executing it to the mark. They want to keep this aggression on the left side, pull all this attention, make sure that this dual lane really can't do anything, keeping them behind. Look, iDavy has 2 levels over StreakUp right now, and WorstTurttle has not made a single rotation over there. He's instead used the aggression on that left side to put all his attention onto the right and keep OgiBre down, pushing him further and further down. He's gone for a Jotun's Wrath as his first item, which, great. That's a wonderful first item for Ravana. But when your opponent is an Upwash with Breastplate of Valor, it does so little to help your lane phase at this point that FrenchEmperor is forced to make a choice between these 2 lanes, and really the only way he can go is towards Panvich on this Upwash. Less mobile, has an extra target in WorstTurttle. Now FrenchEmperor has to take a 1v1 against WorstTurtle.
Oh, man. Oh, man. So much damage coming out. And just before that, we saw Calvìn and Thor. Calvìn and FrenchEmperor, I should say, setting up a play onto WorstTurtle. Just saw 2 hammers go flying past either side of my house. I mean, WorstTurtle, I'm sure, felt the same way. Not concerned, though. Just goes right back in. They tried to match the aggression, did the Yomi Tanuki, but I'm starting to think that plan's not going to work out.
I really like the idea that French Emperor is just Thor at this point. Calvin
might as well be
blasted with damage there. Like, we're 8 minutes in, Judas. 8 minutes. And Calvin just lost half his health bar to 2 people. Granted, one was a Scylla. GunTTeRR has not really been talked about so far in this game, despite having a fairly decent early presence on not an early game character whatsoever.
Yeah.
1-0-1, almost 60 stacks.
Oh, no.
Already in OgiBre. You just feel bad for him at this point.
I mean, look, pick a mage in solo. I hear it's good. Don't pick Ravana, I guess. It does come from the fact that, like you said, WorstTurttle and Panvich have put so much attention onto this Ravana because they've got so much pressure in the left-hand side of the map. It's really working, playing the draft, like you'd mentioned, so well right now. The mid lane has been relatively quiet, but Pikarino also already fell down for first blood. So the entire map is going in the way of the Wargs right now, even GunTTeRR on this Scylla, like you'd mentioned. More of a late-game style guard. So even though the Wargs are having a great time here, if you're the Yomi Tanuki, you can't really say, don't worry, we'll sit back, we'll wait until later on in the game, that's when we come online. Because GunTTRR's going to come online also. GunTTRR's had a fantastic performance at this tournament so far. You really wouldn't think it's the Niflheim Wargs who are currently down 1-0.
French Emperor going on in.
Whoop.
Not going to connect with the Anvil of Dawn. Man, that's just another little play. It's just digging that hole a little bit deeper for the Tanuki. We've talked about the crypts. Well, that's got to be a big thought on the Tanuki's minds right now. They might be a game up, but the way this one is going, Wargs.
Oh, dear.
Oh, man, are just going to do that to Pikarino. Get themselves another kill up. 8 on the board now. Look at that gold lead already, Judas. We're 10 minutes in, and they're seeing into a 5K lead on the side of the Wargs. So let them just step forward, pressure this mid tower down. That's going to fall. We haven't even seen a jungle objective be taken just yet. This mid tower falling, you can only imagine the Wargs are now going to think about that Gold Fury. 10.5 minutes, perfect time to start looking for that. And you just saw Pikarino use the Spirit of the 9 Winds. There's no secure up from the side of the Tanuki. And while GunTTeRR, as I'm a monster, you've got Desert Fury from Davy. Things are just looking great for the Wargs right now.
Yeah, it looks like they're not willing to flip a coin on this Gold Fury. Going to take their time. We can actually see Predss just going after StreakUp, just not letting them get close to the farms. Lost such a big wave there that is stacked up. And, why would you take the risk? When you're getting so much off of this pressure, already taking a mid-tier 1 tower, almost taking a right-tier 1 tower as well, and then you can start looking towards the beacon, the gold fury, because Pyromancer will be spawning around then too. It's just so many options for the Wargs. And there's the age-old question, Spooky. Well, okay, yeah, you know what? Tell me why. Let us all know.
Because it'd be entertaining.
You know what? You got a point there. Yeah, I do love good old coin flip competitions. My call is heads. I bet half the chat will agree with me. Always tails. Wow. This guy. Can you believe it? Anyway, Davy's just leaping in 1 versus 2, not interested in anything else other than this purple buff. But what comes after the fact? It's Predss who swoops on in. Calvin grows a pair of wings. Predss says, I've already got some. So they've already taken position, have forced out the Draconic transformation, forced away StreakUp. Calvin leaps away. That opens the window for this Gold Fury, and Yomi Tanuki really going to struggle to contest.
9 Winds is available for Pikarino.
Up.
Imagine they're looking for the fight. Jumper up in the skies. Where will he fall?
Oh,
no,
right
that's
there.
Not a good place.
Yeah, not that one either. One of these days, we're going to see an optimal position. But mind you, what is the call there? You really don't want to waste that cooldown. Looks like instead, the Wargs will take it. Oh, StreakUp in some danger. Gets slashed once, but will manage to get away.
Oh, no.
I don't know. Pikarino tried to contest. Does use the Spirit of the 9 Winds. Doesn't connect with it. WorstTurttle might finally be in danger. Goes up into the powwow. Rest of the team not coming to assist. WorstTurttle can jump away, though. FrenchEmperor, no manner at all. Predss wants in. No, Predss wants out.
Oh, wait,
that would have been cool, though. That would have been pretty cool. Just abandon GunTTeRR. GunTTeRR doesn't care. Wargs up a massive amount of gold.
Nah, I don't think the Tanuki recognized the GunTTeRR was just not taking the teleport out with his team. Otherwise, if they had stuck around, probably could have punished that, gotten themselves a nice shutdown. Which they miss out on that, and for the results, Wargs now 9 kills to 1. But I don't even care that much about the gold lead, as ridiculous as it is. Look at the XP, 9,000 in favor of the Wargs. Everybody is levels up, usually multiple levels. The only one who doesn't have at least 2 levels up on their direct composition is WorstTurttle. He's going against FrenchEmperor, who just hammers around the jungle, picks up some camps for free. He's not really going to be losing out on any farm there. And now it just ticks over to 2. So cancel that, Judas. Everyone has multiple levels up on the Tanukis. At this point, it becomes so incredibly hard to fight back into anything. To the point where the Tanuki really can't look to fight back into anything. At this point in the game, the objectives that's being looked at is a beacon, pyromancer. You kind of just have to give those up and look for your own farm. Try to trade one of those smaller objectives for something on the map. If you can get at least a tier 1 tower down, that'll open up some of the map so you can be a little bit more free. FrenchEmperor goes up in the air. I'm not sure what his target is. Nobody. It's just securing this purple buff, kind of scouting out, make sure StreakUp can actually get to that safely. I actually like the application of that ult there.
Yeah, it did force away both WorstTurttle and Davy for the moment at least. And again, why would the Wargs take a risk? You've got that big cooldown. All right, purple buff does go the way of the Yomi Tanuki, but right now, if the Wargs just keep at this sort of pace, it's really going to be no window back in for the Tanuki. Obviously, this Pyromancer going to be completely uncontested. Pikarino not wanting to step up for that. It all depends on if the Tanuki can find a way to convince the Wargs to pull this Fire Giant at a suboptimal time and then maybe look for a steal with Pikarino. But look at the right-hand side of the map. Look at those blue wards absolutely everywhere on that right-hand side. It means Pikarino is not going to get in safely. Might as well have a spotlight on him at this point because the Wargs are just ticking all the boxes.
Yeah, maybe they can hit him with a pretty please, but I'm not sure how convincing that will be for the Wargs. StreakUp in some danger here. Davy aggressing in as WorstTurttle dives in as well. Predss on the rotation, maybe look to catch him. For the 9 wins, will dissuade any further engagement. StreakUp gets to keep his life, but neither of his relics.
Oh
my god. Oh my god.
Dear. That is GunTTeRR putting out the punishment. Absolutely nothing FrenchEmperor could do about that. Used the Aegis, but completely mistimed it. Still had the beads, I suppose, but I mean, at that point, you might as well just accept your fate. And finally, something goes the way of the Tanuki. They have
Yeah, at that point, you kind of just stop moving, stare at them, say, okay, I accept my fate at this point. Now the Wargs singing their little victory tune to the sound of 10 kills. It's not over yet, but it is looking much more difficult for the Tanuki. It's hard to say what the story is here without being able to see that game won. Could have been very close, or could have been complete stop for the Tanuki. We've seen that kind of situation multiple times. So even how convincing this game looks for the Wargs, I wouldn't say it's over by any means for the Tanuki. Frenzy gets popped here on the Fire Giant by the Wargs. You immediately have to back away. FrenchEmperor goes up into the sky, answered in kind by WorstTurttle. FrenchEmperor goes down, straight into the crypt, has to hammer out immediately. But WorstTurtle's right there on the back end. Spirit of the Nine Winds doesn't quite catch anybody, and Davy puts Pikarino down. Wargs surging forward, look for the hunt. Calvìn over the wall, avoids the crush, but followed immediately by Predss, down into the tier 2 tower. Calvìn is the target. Davy comes back over the wall, puts Emperor down, and the Yomi Tanuki have collapsed around this Fire Giant. The Niflheim Wargs have a convincing win on that one there. What a fight coming out from the Niflheim Wargs. And really, with this kind of lead, you can only expect that to happen. 11,000 is the goal. This lead is just too much for the Tanuki to fight back into at this point. Now, Fire Giant is down around the waist of all 5 members here. The Niflheim Wargs have quite a few options. And look at this Oni Fury. Indeed, we're seeing them come right on in. And Shelly, I don't know how much better the Tanuki can fight into this at this point.
Well, Spooky, it's going to be difficult, especially with a gold deficit like this. But hey, killing GunTTeRR would be a great start.
That's a fantastic start. It's a great shutdown. Takes Fire Giant off of 1, but man, that mountain is real steep to climb still.
I mean, yeah, the 5-0 shutdown is. If you had to get a kill here, I would say killing GunTTeRR would be the greatest one to have. Top farm on the map, 5-0 shutdown. 13-2 though, it's just so steep. The Niflheim Wargs can almost take their time here. Wait for GunTTeRR to come back. Still 2 tier 2 towers available to grab through. It's not as if this gold lead is going to start climbing back anytime soon. I think the Wargs should just take their time slowly and wait for GunTTeRR and then group up towards left. Pyromancer's in play. No runic bombs available. But this is just clinical from them at this point. They have played almost a flawless early game. It's very difficult to get this far ahead in only 18 minutes of play.
I mean, you have gotten to a point where Pikarino's searching for gold by hugging a wall and placing tornadoes down on a bastion. And it's not a lot of gold, but the fact is, Tanukis are happy about getting it and getting it safely. It does trade off that Pyromancer, which goes the way of the Wargs. But at this point, it's just like you said, you take every small win that you can get.
I mean, as long as there's no pressure on the map currently, yeah, you just start split pushing. I think StreakUp's doing exactly what he needs to. He says, hey, there's 5 members of the Wargs on the other side of the map. Yeah, I'm just going to get as much farm as I can. Sort of stay away from that action. Try and get some extra farm, hit level 20, something like that. But it does seem like the Tanuki are going to group up just to defend their Phoenixes. No reason to let one drop without a fight. The Wargs are strong, but you got to look at the tank stats. Who's going to be tanking up this Phoenix? Panvich could certainly do it, but you'd rather have Predss be the first one in, and he only has essentially 1 defense item besides Gauntlet of Thebes.
Yeah, he's going to be taking a lot of damage. They have the Fire Giant still. With this gold lead, the damage that they have themselves, no, I'm not sure if that'll be enough for Tanuki to withstand. Have to see how they play it here. Tanuki are playing it slow, they're playing it safe. What's the break point for Tanuki here?
Well,
it might be that.
Yeah, it seems like just wait for Predss, try to guess which Phoenix he goes to. You can Spear the Night, but it's only Predss. He's the only one here who's a fake.
The Spirit of the Night Winds completely separates the Wargs, prevents them from grouping up into that ult. I'm not sure if there's a better defense that Tanuki could have put up, aside from just not letting the Wargs engage there.
I'm just curious if Predss thought the boys were coming, you know? Like Predss looked down, because I saw him auto-attack the Phoenix. He's like, don't worry, guys, I've got this. Then he looked back and realized everyone missed the bus, and everyone was late to the party, and I think you're right. It was the fear of Pikarino getting so much value from that Spirit of the Nine Winds that just sent everyone running. But for now, Wargs have been able to get, you know, as much gold as they can with the first Fire Giant. They've got time, though. Should be coming up again here shortly. Can group up towards left. Look towards a Gold Fury if they really want to. It's not as if gold still isn't valuable. Again, Predss still working on the rest of his build. Starter items are being upgraded. It's not as if the Gold Fury is useless at this point. But I'm still looking forward to a Fire Giant defense. If the Yomi Tanuki can get a little bit more farm. They've got all their relics available. It's not as if Pikarino can't walk up and go for a rogue steal, right? You still have to be crossing your T's and dotting your I's here.
And just the fact that the Tanuki are so far down in gold means that anything the Wargs can get just keeps the Tanukis that much further out of this game. And with that in mind, I'm not even sure if I want to see the Tanukis at this Fire Giant. Indeed, they are splitting this map. Wargs heading straight to that fire. It's going to burn very quickly before the Gold Fury is even up, which means the Tanuki may be looking for an aggressive play here instead. WorstTurttle in the area now with Fire Giant around his waist. The Tanuki just don't have the timing for things. It's going to be a reset from them. They get absolutely nothing from this.
Yeah, I don't hate this call, just because, as you said, it's not enhanced Fire Giant, but WorstTurttle does end up stopping Pikarino's back, and guess what? The rest of the squad is on the way.
No.
He sticks around because he's like, I don't want to waste my beads. Guess what? You're going to lose your life, Pikarino.
No. He's going to drop the spear. It's not going to do enough damage to anybody. Davey gets credit for that one, puts the 5th mark on Pikarino. Calvin trying to find a way out. He's really not got a whole lot he can do other than try to buy time away from GunTTeRR. Fury falls down, and Calvin next to go.
Yeah, but it's just going to be the stall tool. WorstTurttle played that about as well as you can. Stick around, wait for the majority of the enemy, the threats to back, and then say, Okay, I'm an ult here, and I understand Pikarino's mindset entirely. Hey man, I really don't want to beads. It's just Daji, right? It's just WorstTurttle. No, the whole squad was behind you. Now, the last tier 2 tower off the map, and the Wargs are surging forward. They still got the one-man advantage. This Phoenix should be gone.
Yeah, it is not even a defense from Tanuki. The crypt's empty, push everyone away. That's gonna shred. Now, Predss, where are we going on this bus? This time, everybody here. I'm gonna go ahead and go right to that mid Phoenix, but this time the Tanuki are in position. FrenchEmperor down onto Davy, looking for a little bit more damage, but he can't quite find it. GunTTeRR surging forward, drops. I'm a monster, no targets there. OgiBre first to fall in this fight. Niflheim Wargs still 5 strong. And StreakUp all the way back in the fountain trying to heal up. That mid bird is already under half here, Trelly.
Yeah, and GunTTeRR is an animal, man. Threw the Sentinel over the wall thinking he was going to teleport in. The rest of the team said, all right, relax. We've got time. We got Fire Giant regen. And the mid Phoenix is already weak. Once again, dashes forward, but StreakUp kills Predss.
Predss goes down. Pikarino, though, in a really awkward spot here. Desert Fury gonna clean that one up. And GunTTeRR, the man,
he
is
holds
just gonna go ahead and take FrenchEmperor's life. If he can get one more tick of damage, has to use the beads for it. Bird will fall down, and Davy jumps over.
That's
Looks like
it.
Calvin. That's the double. That should be the game. 20-3, Trelly. That is a scoreboard.
Wow, 20-3, 24 minutes. The Warg said we did not take game 1 lightly. We are coming back and coming back strong. 7-1 for GunTTeRR. Got shut down once. 6-0 for Davy. I mean, only 3 deaths to speak for. That is a ridiculous pace that the Wargs have set for this game. And with so much on the line, you can see why they're playing that hard.
I mean, it's really that good because, like, it's not even a kill a minute. So, really, they missed the mark on that one, right?
I mean, if that's your bar, then you're not gonna be too happy for the rest of these sets, I imagine, because I think 2 games ago we had like 4 kills by 20 minutes. So still, I'm taking 20 by 24. That's good enough for me.
Yeah, excellent performance from the Wargs, and really shows that game 1 loss, nothing for them to be concerned about. The question now is, can they take it to a second win? Both these teams look for one more in game 3 right after the break.
We watch the sun go down over the same old town, like so many times before. We look at the same old stars, battle the same old wars, like so many times before. And I know that we're not perfect, but I'm gonna miss all that we had. Yeah, I know that we're not perfect, but I need this night for the last time. Stay, stay. No, you're gone in the morning, but I'll be okay if you stay. Stay. No, you're gone in the morning, but I'll be okay if you stay. If you stay. No, you're gone in the morning, but I'll be okay. We were never meant to last, but all the fun times we had, I'll never forget. We will always share a bond, no matter what, 'cause you have a piece of my heart. And I know that we're not perfect, but I'm gonna miss all that we had. Yeah, I know that we're not perfect, but I need this night for the last time. Stay, stay.
All of that is excitement, all of that energy going to be coming back January 12th through 14th. Hopefully you're going to be there with us. If you're not, though, of course, you can always watch live on Twitch or on YouTube, and make sure that you're just there. January 12th through 14th, the World Championship. It is just a different kind of time, a different kind of energy, and a different level of play than what you get throughout the rest of the year. And if you want to, whether you're there or at home, you can match the newest Wheelish skin that's going to be a Twitch drop during that. You could rep your favorite teams. You could just buy some SMITE World Championship merch because it's limited. Whatever reason you have behind it, you can go to shop.highresstudios.com/SWC. Join in on the hype, the energy, and be a part of the Season 10 Championship your own way. And again, whether you're at home or in venue, match up, be there with the rest of the fans, and feel united in a way that you only can if you have the merch to do so. It's Gore, it's Trelly, and it's 1-1 here. Now, Trelly, I know we didn't see Game 1, but I saw an awful lot of Game 2. And I'm going to go ahead and tell you, the Wargs are kind of scary, as it turns out.
Yeah, you don't want to get the Wargs in that zone. It seems like going down Game 1 put them in that zone, and here it was just, we're going to win early game. We're going to make sure that you can do essentially nothing, and then, just go from there. And that's kind of what happened. They came out swinging, as you might expect, and Spooky was upset they didn't get, 24 kills in 24 minutes, but they got as close as you can get. 20 kills in 24 minutes is a ridiculous pace, and that is, easier said than done, of course, but Scylla has been not the highest contention pick so far. It's been a lot of Cuckoo, a lot of Thoth. The Scylla has been there, but I haven't really seen the Scylla ults connecting. I got to see the Scylla ults connect this game, and GunTTeRR was absolutely on point. Didn't even need setup half the time, was just creating his own setup with the Sikkim, so very impressed with the mid lane performance here. Of course, WorstTurttle comes out swinging, and Davy, my man, did nothing wrong. Like it was just pressure in the duo lane. StreakUp, every time he walked up, he would get half health and just have to leave. It did not look enjoyable.
And this is going to be just a small showcase of the amount of damage GunTTeRR was able to do in the blink of an eye. It really does feel like, again, this team, I don't want to say played without fear. Maybe at a certain point, I think played without fear is probably accurate, right? When you're 20,000 gold up and the kills are 19-3, you're playing without fear. Because there's nothing to fear. There's nothing to worry about on the other side. When if you're Davy, you've not died once and you got 11 affected kills. GunTTeRR with 13 affected kills and only dies once, you definitely start to test the limits, right? How much can you get away with? And it feels like a lot of the time, as you had mentioned, GunTTeRR, Davy as well, being able to just kind of set themselves up for success. Predss, WorstTurttle, as well as Panvich a little bit later on, really getting their hands on and disrupting the Tanuki. And really, Trelly, it's like one person tripped you, and then like they weren't fully gonna beat you while they were down, but they started to, and then the rest of the crew came over, and it really did feel like they just knocked the Tanuki down super early that game and never gave him the opportunity to get back in.
Yeah, so now if you're the Tanuki, there's one singular mindset here, and it's short memory. That game didn't just happen,
Yeah,
right?
we're up 1-0.
Yeah, you forget that game even existed. You're up 1-0. You have to win this game to be able to win, and also there was just too much that went wrong to like pinpoint the Wargs draft and say we need to get rid of this. I would say you just gotta like start anew, and that's they did it once. They're up. They have a win, so it's not as if it's impossible. The Wargs can bleed. You just gotta find that mindset you're at in game number 1.
That's going to be the question, what the Tanuki can do to answer after the Wargs put on a pretty masterful class of 24 minutes. But Tanuki, game 3, take first pick, and they are going to start off trying to control quite a few things that had worked out well. And actually, Charlie, something that stands out to me because it's happening again. We've got Opwash, Scylla, but in between those bans from the Tanuki is this Horus. A couple days ago, we were watching a Warg set, and we saw the Horus get banned, and we were just like, look, Predss is probably good at quite a few things from support. Does banning the Horus change things? The Tanuki seem to think it will. The other side, the Kuzenbo, the Athena, the Maman, allows Kukulkan to get through. Camazotz, and now potentially the Chernobog locked in for the Tanuki. Answered on the other side by the Daji and the Anhur.
See, this is the switch up I was talking about, because remember last game they were like Hachiman. That is it. Chernobog was not banned. They didn't care. They didn't want it. They needed to switch something up. Camazotz has been performing very well, and of course the Chernobog just opens so many doors for split push team fights. Do you want to just like dogpile on someone over in solo lane, 3-man gank? It's just very annoying to deal with. There's a reason he's one of the top pick ADCs and can just do a lot more than Hachi could if you're playing for that late game. It depends. Again, Hachi's much safer, but the safety was not enough in game number 2, so I like the switch up.
Well, Chaac gets locked in for the Wargs. And Shelly, there's a Daji, which is going to make me think that maybe hedge my bets that the Chaac isn't the jungle.
Right.
But
I would assume so.
We've seen it a few times, yeah, and with the last one looking like a Tiamat, it should be Chaac over in the solo lane. And again, it's actually really interesting when it's warriors like Chaac, because I feel like he's more ability focused. And so this is a bad comparison, but a comparison nonetheless, in that he at least will play similarly-ish to like the mages we've seen over there, outside of the fact that he's not going to have like the sustain, the same kind of build, or the super long range clear.
Yeah, as far as I'm concerned,
which is most of why they're good.
Yeah, Chaac's like a physical mage. That doesn't
he's
do
like
any
a physical
of the mage
that's close range, and really like his abilities aren't as strong, and the scaling isn't there.
He's got burst, he's got the physical burst, and that's really where he comes out swinging. So we'll have to see how it matches up into things like a Camazotz, but the Serqet, the anti-heal, that could also be annoying as well.
Yeah, it's going to be fun to watch to see how it shakes out. It's game 3. It's not necessarily do or die, but the winner puts themselves in a much better position. We'll see how it shakes out as we jump down to the casters.
That's right. It is the Niflheim Wargs and the Yomi Tanuki tied 1-1. And their prize for winning this game, Spooky, is a date with the Hex Mambo. But we'll have to see that dance another time. First, we got to find out exactly who it will be squaring up. And an interesting factoid about this little game, Spooky, for one of the first times in this tournament, we have Warrior versus Assassin in the solo lane. I don't believe it.
Yeah, every now and then we get to see something interesting come to the solo lane. And while I don't know if I would include Chaac in things that I consider interesting, the class matchup, at the very least, is one we've been wanting to see for a little while. Predss is going to start this game off pretty aggressively, and I don't think anyone's super surprised. Ooh. It should be absolutely fine. Davy's coming in. Yeah, Calvìn just doesn't have the early damage that Davy might, though.
Wow.
Jeez.
Davy already level 2, of course, but looks like the Wargs will give up their aggression there. These early duo skirmishes have just been going the way of the Wargs, it seems, just that little bit more. But Predss this time picking up Yemoja instead of the Horus. Now, you can get aggressive on Yemoja, but maybe not quite to the same extent that Horus can. So hopefully we'll see, well, not hopefully, but maybe we will see a bit more of a muted dual lane for this early stage. And I do wonder what impact that will have on the solo lane, of course, because OgiBre actually really felt the force of it when it freed up FrenchEmperor to rotate there.
I'm not convinced we're going to see anything slowing down in this dual lane. I think we're going to see a lot of the same play from Predss. The main thing you're not going to see is those cross-map rotations. We're not going to see the dropships coming in because that part was banned away, so they don't get to do that. It's not an option anymore. But the River's Rebuke is incredibly powerful into this draft. Not WorstTurttle, likely just going for the shield buff, but is in the area. And I have to wonder about the choice to pick up this Khepri here into this lane composition specifically.
Yep.
You knew that there was a Yemoja, you knew that there was an Anhur, and while you don't have the double shred that the original dual lane, well, maybe not original, but the Horus Anhur lane had, you still have tons of clear potential and lots of engagement potential. The River's Rebuke is pretty much just locking Calvìn down. He has no way to get out of those walls. StreakUp has a lot more options himself, but when you look at all the members who don't have ways to get back out, it's very easy for Predss to pick a target with his playstyle and just say, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and do this. By the way, taking away your bat camp too while I'm at it. Hee hee ha ha.
I think it might come down to... Well, I mean, we've seen this. Look, everyone's been commending Silence for this whole tournament. Predss is the originator, man. Predss has been doing this 2 months ago throughout the whole SCC Phase 2, and it looks like he's going to continue that. As in the right-hand side, Blue Buff Invade goes the way of the Niflheim Wargs. I do wonder if the Yomi Tanuki will counter that out. Predss will get it, because all of the attention is on the right-hand side of the map. Wargs get a speed buff, they get 2 blue buffs, and they get a handy enough lead.
This is just an excellent early game play from Wargs. Predss, with this speed buff and the way he likes to play this game,
Man, zooming.
I would be scared if I'm the Tanukis. You don't know where this guy's going to show up at. You just know he is going to be showing up somewhere. If you think you have a buff, think again, because here comes Predss. You thought you could just get this shield buff for free? No, you're going to get riptided.
Oh, it's immune.
Oh, my...
Predss just stood there. He's just like, no. You know that I know that you don't get this. So why even try? Why even attempt it? I think just about the Yomi Tanuki can feel safe pulling their purple buff that far back. But we've seen all of these EU supports be just menaces with the way that they contest these buffs. It is somewhat of an old school style, but it just seems to be coming off so effectively. Now, I do wonder how much it all matters in the grand scheme of things. But on the one hand, I'm frustrated watching it. I'm sure it's frustrating to play against.
Listen, if you are looking at a shield buff, right, and you're 2 people, and you see no competition whatsoever, and you know that Davy is on his purple buff, you're thinking, great, this is free. I can get some farm. And then Predss doesn't even do damage to it. He doesn't even do damage to it, Judas. He just puts up a Riptide and pushes everyone out of the camp so it auto-resets. And by the time that happens, Davy is back. And he said, well, you know what? I'm just not dealing with this anymore. Davy now has a slight lead in this duo lane, about to level up. Doesn't have anything transitioning to items just yet. No one's reset. So mostly just looking at the fact that he has an extra point in one of his abilities. Going to be doing a little bit extra damage there. Predss making rotations across the map here. He's really the one that I think we should be keeping our eyes on. So we can talk about this dual lane fight all day, every day. But it's really Predss who's setting the pace of this game. And he did so in game 2 as well.
Yo.
He comes up.
Oh my god, Pikarino just got so owned that it doesn't matter at all. But I'd be so upset if I was Pikarino. Predss is just flexing right now, just showing up. It really did not matter. If anything, that was a bad play. You've lost River's Rebuke. You did no damage to Pikarino, but man, it looked cool. And it's opened up some space over to this right-hand side of the map. Now, the Living Nightmare has come out, and Pikarino's on the way over too. Panvich steps up. Calvìn here on scene. It's almost a full 5-man with a little bit of impact coming up from StreakUp, but that will deflect away the Niflheim Wargs. And, you know, Yomi Tanuki are managing this game much better, though, than they did in Game 1. It's not quite as aggressive from the Wargs. I think that comes down to the fact that the Yomi Tanuki have just reacted in a much better way. The Spirit of the Nine wins to do a big chunk of GunTTeRR's health, but nothing more than that for now.
I can't believe GunTTeRR didn't jump at any point. Maybe it was still down. I think it actually just transitioned to the flying stance. So very lucky that that wasn't enough damage. If even one tornado had just like grabbed onto him, he's dead there. The Wargs once again sneak out of a bad position. And it's like you said, this game is a much better look for the Tanuki so far. They haven't really been answering a lot of damage back, but they're not letting these leads extend. Now Davy being looked at, but Calvìn in some trouble.
That WorstTurttle is here. Calvìn nowhere to go. StreakUp now dashes into a wall. Do they have what they need to get out? Or uses the beads early, which means the powwow is there. Does get pulled in, gets hooked, and there's the impale. Davy does not take a tower shot. WorstTurttle takes it up first. Davy takes it up. That tower shot will be enough. StreakUp actually gets the kill despite the ult coming out from TheFrenchEmperor. So StreakUp trades one back. Pikarino now trying to punish Predss. Predss no Omi might actually be in some danger. It's going to take a while.
I don't think he dies here.
Oh, yes, he does.
Should come up at some point here. Oh, if he gets pulled back in, that should be the end. There you go.
Finally
not
punished.
enough Omi for the Riptide. Very close, but I like this from the Tanuki. They're actually playing a little bit more aggressive. They're punishing the Wargs for their oversteps. We've seen in iScience throughout the day, just getting very aggressive, stepping very far forward, and taking a very long time to be punished for it. Here in Game 3, the Tanuki have recognized that if they want this win, they can't let Predss just do his normal playstyle. If he's going to be on your side of the map, you have to punish him for it. Problem is been that the Tanuki haven't found good opportunities to do those punishes because the Wargs would often just rotate back in onto them. This time, though, they get the kills first, and then they turn around and say, hey, Predss, what are you doing there, my friend? Well, not much. He just has to die at that point. 2-2 now is the scoreboard. Wargs do still lead, but okay.
Wow.
Rebuke. He should be dead.
Ooh, Calvìn does get stunned down. And wow, Predss actually killing off their opposing number. Pikarino wants in, though. Can do some damage. StreakUp really wants in. Goes in without Living Nightmare. Not a lot of mana to work with, and still no purification beads. One power shot onto Pikarino. There's another pull as well. Oh, actually dashes into the wall. So manages to immune that powwow that way. Guys thinking ahead of time. But now GunTTeRR, shoved into some danger, doesn't appear to have the leap available. Has been left alone by their team, and this Tiamat now falling down. Yomi Tanuki tie it up in kills.
These have just been back and forth, one-for-one trades. Wargs find something, then the Tanuki answer back. It hasn't done much to shift the needle, but if you are the Tanuki, you've got to be happy about taking down GunTTeRR. This is a very high-scaling god. If you can delay that scaling from GunTTeRR, keep him down, that's a good target to be picking. Meanwhile, Pikarino has been silently collecting some assists, hasn't picked up a kill himself yet.
Yep.
But as long as you're not dying, Emperor, to take a little bit of a risky fight with this speed buff, might actually still get it.
You know, gets the buff. You know, you got the buff, you're happy. And look, fine margins. Playing with the fine margins. It's maybe a bit too fine for StreakUp with no mana to work with. And surely just going to die in a moment. There's the leap in. Predss wants it, though. Predss takes the kill for themselves. 3-1 on this Yemoja, by the way. This Yemoja, we talked about them being a menace. All of the kills for the Warg so far on the dual lane, most of them going the way of Predss on the Yem. And I don't know, how would that be for the Wargs? Yeah, I mean, 3 levels up on their opposing number. But is this where you really want the goal to be going? Can you make use of this?
I mean, yes and no. Yes, you can make use of it, but no, it's not the ideal situation. You'd much rather those 3 assists on WorstTurttle be 3 kills, or at least two assists being translated into kills for Davy. Either way, it's better if your damage dealers have the extra gold from those kills, but at the same time, Predss is a player who will make use of that. He's going to be getting tankier. You can see his Gauntlet of Thebes has been stacked. He's working on that breastplate as well. And so it's going to facilitate his playstyle where he just walks at people and starts to create opportunities for his team. Sure, maybe they don't have a bunch of extra gold, but if everything's being dumped into Predss before these fights, it doesn't matter.
Calvìn must be sick of the sight of two rivers on either side of them. Has used the Scarab's Blessing, but will get pulled in by WorstTurttle. Pikarino as well drops the Spirit of the Nine Winds, doesn't do enough damage, and actually Calvìn looks like they might live. Now FrenchEmperor leaping over the backside. WorstTurttle gets caught, gets killed off. There is the poison that already used by FrenchEmperor though, and Davy will trade out for StreakUp as well. 1 for 1, but it looks like the Wargs looking at the Gold Fury.
So there is the consequences of Predss having all the extra gold, is that Calvìn doesn't die there because the damage isn't quite high enough. It also means that they can't go to this Gold Fury immediately afterwards.
Yes.
FrenchEmperor and Calvìn both in the area, looking to just make sure the Wargs don't get too much off of this. Just pushed back, denied by iDavy there. So it's a good start from the Wargs. They do end up on the better end of that trade. But you can start to see, the results of these kills not quite being funneled into the areas that where they'd be most useful. Wargs still feeling very comfortable about this, though. See, the gold lead, it's not the only thing getting to accrue. It's also an XP lead for the Wargs. Davy, once again, 2 levels up against StreakUp. I think that's the biggest problem point for the Tanuki right now, is just how aggressive Davy can play on this Anhur. Having such an advantage over this Chernobog is going to limit how many times StreakUp can make those rotations. Because if Davy is looking for those fights and he's just chunking StreakUp down, if you're using the Living Nightmare, you're turning up to a fight with 75% HP, that's not a great look. Even worse, if Davy takes a better fight, all he has to do is channel Desert Fury when you go for the Living Nightmare. So you have to be very conscious about where you're at when you start looking for those fights and start looking for those rotations. It's not the worst look in the world. Tanuki are by no means out of this, but the Wargs do have ways that they're starting to restrict the movements of the Tanuki without even taking all these tier 1 towers down just yet.
Yeah, only the 2 towers fallen down for the Yomi Tanuki already. The right lane tier 1 still standing. Oh, it's a teleport coming over from Panvich, so they really want to make this one stick. And fantastic blink there from WorstTurttle. Catches out the abduct. So that is already Khepri off the map. Now the rest of the Yomi Tanuki making the rotation over. OgiBre taking a long walk. But hold on, the Skull Furies are already very, very low. Pikarino's here. Pikarino doesn't go for the Spirit of the Nine Winds, but the damage is pretty good. Leaping forward is Davy as well, right onto Pikarino. They fall down. OgiBre flies on out. First objective goes to the Wargs.
No, it goes to the Tanuki.
Oh, did it? Oh my god, I didn't even notice.
With the Zephyr.
Wow. Crazy. It's actually worth it then. I stand corrected. The Tanuki take a decent fight there, I suppose.
Well, I don't know how the Wargs managed to let that one slip through their fingers. Predss does still have the River's Rebuke available, so that just wasn't used. Tanuki make a iffy play. It's a 50-50, but if it works out, it becomes a worthwhile play. And they're able to pull that goal back just a little bit back into their favor. It's not shored up completely. They still have a deficit to work through, but the fact is they stop it from growing any larger. That's the biggest thing that they can do right now. That's the first step to recovering from your deficit. Wargs maybe need to be a little bit more conscious around these objectives. There really isn't a world where Pikarino should just be able to walk at a Gold Fury and then separate for the steal. But we approach the 15-minute mark. Pyromancer being looked at on the board here. Not a lot of Tanukis around to steal this one away. I like the plan that the Wargs have had so far. Focus on Calvìn, remove him from the equation before you start looking for these fights. Make sure that the Scarab's Blessing just isn't a factor. Even if you force it onto Calvìn himself, that's still worthwhile. Davy quickly jumps back to the tower. The pillar, but is it enough? No, it's not. FrenchEmperor gets the ult off, gets the kill. Now Tanuki finally starting to hit their stride a little bit here.
Yeah, Davy there caught no relics. Had the ult available, but couldn't make use of it. You know, that last breath will still tag onto you, even if you do manage to get into the Desert Fury. Now, looks like StreakUp is being hunted down. Already has used the Living Nightmare, but Predss and WorstTurttle can't close the distance fast enough. And that will be that. It looks like finally Yomi Tanuki take a pick. We haven't really seen that. As much as they have 5 kills, it's normally been after the fact that the Niflheim Wargs have been too aggressive. So good to see at least the French Emperor able to get active on the map now and taking that kill. Because, you know, looking at the slash lines at the very least, French Emperor 2-0-3, having a totally fine game. You would be more than happy with that 15 minutes into the game. So I think it comes now for the Yomi Tanuki to focus on French Emperor and OgiBre's side of the map and bring that pressure over to help StreakUp get further into this game.
2-0-3 is a fine slash line, but the 2-level deficit is causing some problems. OgiBre has to blink out of danger on that one. 3-man rotations don't really feel good, and OgiBre would much rather use the blink than the bat out of hell at this point. Now, an engagement. Tide does push a little bit further forward, but the root comes through.
Street was great. There's the dash. Oh, French Emperor smacked against the wall. Davey not dealing with that this time. OgiBre, though, loses their tier 1 tower. Goes to swoop in for the wave, but left side there's also a big engagement reoccurring. OgiBre will fall down eventually. On the left-hand side, River's Rebuke comes on out. Davey squaring up the French Emperor, pins him into the wall again. Pikarino and GunTTeRR making the long rotation over. There's the Scarab's Blessing already down, but gets done down. Oh, the Spirit of the Nine Winds only hits Predss, and Predss is the one that can sustain it. But Panvich, fresh off a sweep, picking up a kill on the right side of the map, comes all the way over to the left-hand side to put some more pressure onto StreakUp.
StreakUp has to use the bees to avoid the storm call. He does find a way out. The dash is good.
Oh,
well,
there is one shot.
Chain.
You did actually find the chain, but found also the beads for French Emperor. So another big fight goes on both sides, but the Niflheim Wargs come out on top yet again. And now, look to turn their attention to the goal. Surely this time can do it. Predss doesn't fall down, doing their best French Emperor impression there. This one goes cleanly for the Niflheim Wargs. Yomi Tanuki this time can't step up.
Another one goes the way of the Wargs. They've gotten the Pyromancer. They now have a Fury to their name. Pikarino just a little bit too far away. And no Spirit of the Nine Winds to try to throw over the wall on that one. Wargs take quite the extended fight. The fact that Predss and Davey were able to survive on that left side for so long and let GunTTeRR make the rotation over, and then Panvich gets to teleport over as well. I mean, Wargs have no business winning that fight. That should have been a trade across the board. Tanuki should have been able to clean that one up. But Predss is just too good at keeping people alive. And the level differences between the two carries and even the supports means that the Tanuki have to work so much harder to find these kills than the Wargs do. It's not just the gold difference. It's the XP, it's everything. It's the builds coming through. Calvìn is consistently forced to use the Scarab's Blessing on himself. I think that's one of the biggest detriments to the team fight from Tanuki. And I'm not saying it's Calvin's fault by any means.
No.
That's just the nature of how you play this matchup. The Wargs know how to deal with Khepri. You isolate him, you either kill him, or you force out the Scarab's Blessing, and then you get to catch his ADC.
Oh my goodness, the damage check test coming out there, and Davey and WorstTurttle absolutely passed it. And that's how easy it is to take a pick. Now the Wargs want to turn this pick into a Pyromancer, but there are more members of the Tanuki around. French Emperor goes in first, does get stunned out though. Calvìn gets a grab onto GunTTeRR. GunTTeRR in the middle of the River's Rebuke. There goes the Spirit of the Nine Winds. Doesn't do enough damage, so French Emperor gets revived, immediately gets silenced and put into the ground. Now Calvìn seems to be the target. GunTTRR's still low. GunTTeRR will finally fall down, but Calvìn also will go down. It is 4 kills across the map. Pikarino, the last one left alive. Panvich will run this one down. The rest of the Wargs look at the Fire Giant.
Man, what a disaster for the Tanuki. It starts off so well for them. They outnumber the Wargs. They are in a great position to find these kills, but Predss is just too good at keeping people alive. This Yemoja sustain is simply shutting the Tanukis down. They don't have the damage to burn through it fast enough, and the Wargs are too good at collapsing in and punishing the Tanukis for taking so long and burning so much. And WorstTurttle just gets to take another one off the board. Fire Giant around all 5 Wargs. May not be as clean and fast as game number 1 was. But Judas, the Wargs have definitely hit their stride in Game 2, and they are looking to close this one out. Tier 2 still on the board. They are amassed at a 10k gold lead, and they're just looking for the next fight.
Yeah, at this point, if you're the Yomi Tanuki, you really don't want to be falling down to the loser's bracket of Group C. It's just the place. You've got to go through so many strong teams to then make you back out. One of those teams might even be the Niflheim Wargs again. You know, you might find yourself in a spot where you can't. You know, if you let this one slip away when you're in a relatively equal stance, at least you have that backup life, but it's just not going to feel good. Even though you took Game 1, all right, we don't know exactly how that one happened, but the Yomi Tanuki were able to do it. They need to call back to whatever they were doing then and see if they can turn it around from here. For all we know, this is the similar position to Game 1. So let's assume that way. Let's go with that, and let's say that the Yomi Tanuki were able to turn that around. They'll have to channel that and see where they can turn it around here, but right now, it's really not looking like an easy task.
I mean, we've seen wilder comebacks, right? Today, even.
Today, yeah, literally today.
Comebacks. So
against the Tanuki.
Against the Tanuki. Okay, well, okay. That's not quite the tone I was going for, Judas.
Right.
I'm trying to avoid the doom and gloom right now. But with this left bird under siege, doom and gloom might be what's coming the Tanuki's way. Pikarino are losing half the health. WorstTurttle in a bad spot.
Goes up into the powwow against the two damage dealers of the Yomi Tanuki, but does get out safely with the help of their team. Pikarino forced at half HP, way back in the distance, and really can't step up. This tier 2 tower looks like the Yomi Tanuki were trying to defend it, but at the moment, you just can't do that. They've already lost one Phoenix too, so they're just going to be under so much pressure for the next few minutes.
And when you add in salamanders to those fire minions they're going to be pouring down, there's so much pressure on the side of Wargs right now. And sure, they've been nerfed, right? Tiamat's little skeely little lizard boys, they have been nerfed. They're not quite as oppressive as they were at split pushing. But it's still just one more thing you have to worry about. It's that 4 extra minions that are going to be in the lane, hitting your minions behind enhanced minions for the Wargs. There's just so much the Wargs can do to control the pace of this game. I'm certain they're going to be looking at Fire Giant the next time it comes up. If they can get this tier 2 on the right side before then, that's great, but there's really no pressure for them to do so. They can play this at their own pace and just kind of use this left bird being down as leverage, kind of go wherever they want. Expect to see maybe a little bit more pressure on this right side, get some deep wards placed down. Wargs, really just their game to lose at this point.
Yeah, we've seen, like you said, bigger comebacks, and it's always been this. Yes, today, and it's always been this type of situation, right? One team is just way down, the other team have been having the advantage of all of the fights, all of the objectives, everything. But sometimes you get to those really tight situations where the chips are down, all Phoenix is down, Titan half HP, and then someone makes a mistake. And if you're on the Wargs, you do not want to be that guy making the mistake right now, because we've seen the Yomi Tanuki put up plenty of fights so far. Oh, WorstTurttle, I love this. If he catches StreakUp, it's a problem.
Oh, wow.
StreakUp, absolutely nowhere to go now. Do they have the Living Nightmare? Looks like they do, and they will be able to use it. Can they get somewhere safe, though? The land right back down, but WorstTurtle's not the safety you're looking for. Nice Aegis, looking for the brawl back out. StreakUp is doing absolutely everything to stay alive right now. It's been great, but WorstTurtle going for the re-engage. One Trickster Spirit will do it. One ability of any kind will do it. Trickster will go in, and that will be that for StreakUp, and the rest of the Wargs can take down the Order Titan once. Can they take it down a second time?
Man, that was so well played from StreakUp, and honestly from WorstTurtle as well. The timing on that was beautiful. Now the Wargs have the advantage around this right side bird. Got there, Titan walking on down the lane to help with this siege, and StreakUp not back for 30 more seconds. This is a tough defense from the Tanuki. It's going to be relying on Calvìn, who just has his blessing popped by a Riptide. That is rough. Titan arrives, siege should start.
Titan is in, this Phoenix surely down, but what can the Tanuki do about the rest of the Niflheim Wargs? Panvich is creating so much space. WorstTurtle actually split pushing down the mid lane. Yomi Tanuki needs to be careful. This isn't the game end here. I'm surprised the Wargs back away. They have a lot of pressure here, but They, of course, don't have the Fire Giant, so they will back up for that. Looking to really dot the I's and cross the T's and round this game out.
Yeah, they've still got their Titan in that base for the Tanuki as well. So that's one more thing that team has to deal with before they can try to stop this Fire Giant pull from the Wargs. And with how fast it burns, yeah, there's no chance that they get there. I love this play from the Wargs. It's like you said, they're not looking to rush things. They're playing it clinical. They're playing it carefully. Cross the T's, dot the I's. Make sure you're not doing anything sloppy. Get fire, reset, finish out your builds here. Now we'll be looking at the next push. And this one, I think, Judas, is where we'll start to see them actually start looking for the game. There's not a lot left to take on the map. There's a Primal Fury they can look for. That's really more of a consolation prize. If anything, that's more of a, oh, well, we didn't get to end the game because Predss got Khepri pulled into the fountain. Oh, no.
What is this, level 1?
Maybe. Who knows?
That's the only time I see Predss stepping up quite that high. There's Primal Fury, of course, on the way. And I mean, with the pace that the Wargs are going at, they might well wait for it and maybe clear it away. But it looks like instead, going to group up down this left-hand side. Wargs just looking to defend. It's backs against the wall time for the Yomi Tanuki.
Oh, look, Salamanders in 2 lanes. Boy, I think the Tanuki are really looking forward to defending against that one. Left bird already half health. It's going to be an easy pickings for the Wargs, and Panvich already stepping forward. Wargs are looking for some blood. It's a matter of when do they start spilling it.
So there come the Basilisks in. Left side Phoenix, already half health. Right lane, fire minions pouring in. Don't worry about where the minions are down this mid lane as well. Here comes the River's Rebuke onto Calvìn. Left side Phoenix already down. OgiBre can't get into the fight, has to retreat. It is just the sole standing bird in the middle lane. And the Wargs are just picking the Yomi Tanuki apart here, not even really having to fight.
I mean, that's just the results of having a half health bird at that point. River's Rebuke gets burned on it. That means it's not available for this full health bird, and Panvich leads the charge.
Panvich straight on in, right behind, gets the Storm Cold, doesn't actually connect with anyone though, but here comes WorstTurttle connecting onto StreakUp. He just comes up from 1. OgiBre trying to do whatever they can, but the health bars are full of Wargs. They're still taking no damage in this fight. StreakUp trying to get back to base with the Scarab's Blessing. Titan now under some pressure. Nice revive comes out. StreakUp still alive, all 5 up on both sides, but the Order Titan still stands strong. Wargs being chased away. Will the Yomi Tanuki re-engage? It doesn't feel like they're going to have many more chances. Predss gets caught in a route, gets caught in another route. Can anyone dish out damage to the Wargs from the Tanuki? It doesn't look like it.
They just don't have the space for their damage dealers to hit these targets. It's constantly Panvich just getting up in the Tanuki's face, saying, hey, StreakUp, do you want to look for my team? Did you want to hit somebody? Did you want to kill somebody? Too bad. Here's some damage mitigation. I hope you can work your way through it. And they just can't. Now the Wargs stepping back forward, but keep an eye on FrenchEmperor. He's got a route. He may look for the flank.
Well, River's Rebuke in. It's a full commit onto the Titan. Here comes the Spirit of the Nine Winds. Hits a bunch of people, but the Titan already goes down. The Yomi Tanuki could do nothing about it. Niflheim Wargs take their victory. They take the 2-1 win. I don't even know how the Yomi Tanuki took game 1 because that was clean from the Wargs.
I mean, it's just one of those situations we've constantly seen these teams go to 3-game sets back and forth. The Tanuki did take their last engagement, but this time around, the Wargs learned from their loss, come out as the victors. They just looked so clean throughout the entire match. Predss, I'm once again going to say, was really the pacemaker of this game. He was the one stepping forward and really telling the Tanuki, no, you don't get to have this for free. You don't get to just take your camp. Nothing goes the way of Tanuki without a fight. The gold and XP that they lose just adds up to far too much.
Well, that's it from us for the day. We're going to wrap it up as we head back to the desk.
It's a 2-1 victory for the Wargs, but Trelly, it's hard fought from the Tanuki every step of the way. Unfortunately for them, the farm game, this is getting kind of common with a lot of these top teams. Sometimes the farm game and then the team fight coalescence, it comes together too clean, and unfortunately for the Tanuki, that knocks them down here. Not out, just down. We'll look at the bracket in a little bit, but they do still have their opportunity. The biggest thing to celebrate or to look at is that if you are the Wargs here, that means not only did you get that win, Shelly, you look good doing it, and you put yourself in a better spot to try and qualify for the group stages.
And that's what's got to be on everyone's mind, right? And the Wargs showed how to bounce back and do it convincingly this time around. The Serqet, a pickup that I didn't think was going to be, you know, that highly contested. If you had me guess the top, like, 5 junglers to be looked at, wouldn't have been on that list, but ends up looking pretty solid here. More specifically, it didn't seem like it was going to be able to match that pressure from WorstTurttle, though. That was the thing. I was like, okay, FrenchEmperor, game 3, you're going towards the Serqet. Is it going to be enough? And, you know, I think it was a niche pickup trying to deal with the healing of Predss, of Panvich, but didn't quite get enough value to take it home. And you know what? I was really impressed with Predss as well. The Riptides were pretty nuts. The healing, of course, is always going to be a big deal, but the setup that Yemoja brings cannot be understated. There's a reason she's been top of the meta for a while, and this game was no different.
Yeah, honestly, I think you get to see, like you said, just a ton of strength from what the Warriors were able to draft into. As well as, I think, being able to catch me off guard to an extent, right? I got used to seeing the Chaac in the jungle this week, but being able to pick up, A, the Daji, B, the Anhur, have those perform really well. But I think the Chaac jungle deserves its shout-out. 1-0-7 for Panvich. Decent presence in team fights, like you said. He brings a lot of CC to the table. And when you put that on the front line with a Yemoja, you tend to do well. And then when you add in the damage that a Tiamat outputs, suddenly things just start to line up. But 6-2-4, 6-1-8, Davy and WorstTurttle just look fantastic. And again, help herald their team into one of the more comfortable positions to be in right now. Again, since it's double elimination, that means the Tanuki are not out. It also means that the Wargs have a couple chances, Trelle, to try and make their dreams come true. Their winning puts them up against Hex Mambo. The Tanuki losing means they'll be going up against the Solar Scarab. So we do still have all 4 of our teams going into tomorrow. And what we are going to end up seeing between them is, A, completely different matchups, right? And new matchups at that. But on top of that, it's finding out tomorrow the 2 teams that are going to be going, the 2 teams that are going to be eliminated. So Hex Mambo and the Niflheim Wargs. Whoever wins that one goes to the group stages. Scarabs and Tanuki. Whoever loses that one is eliminated. And then for match 15, it'll be the loser of Mambo Wargs and the winner of Scarabs Tanuki. Whoever wins match 15 also goes to the group stages for SWC. Whoever loses that is eliminated from the tournament, and their world's dreams end there. So some pressure on the line, and only 3 sets, Trelle, left standing between these 4 teams and their trip to Worlds.
Yeah, I mean, you lose in that bottom seed, your season is over. Yep. So you got to bring everything here, but I don't think we got to reiterate that point. I'm sure these teams are aware of that, and they have been playing like such. It's been some great games, but if everything you're saying is true, which you have all the information, you don't want to miss tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow, again, elimination game into qualifier game into qualifier game.
Yep.
A lot of pressure on the line to make sure all of that happens. And again, only 2 of these 4 teams are going to make it. And then next week, we just do it all again with North America to close out and find those 8 total teams for SPL, and then 2 from this week, 2 from next week. A lot on the line for the EU teams tomorrow, though. So the biggest question is going to be who's going to win. But for now, the biggest thing to say is thank you so much for tuning in and for hanging out with us all day. Hopefully we'll see you tomorrow morning, 11 a.m., same time, same place. But from myself, from Trelle, everyone back in production, everyone here at Hi-Rez Studios, thank you so much for watching. And we'll see you in the morning for some more SMITE.